enough to save me, got enough to raise me, got enough to heal me, got enough to feel me. You are God, you are good, you are God, you are good. You were good enough to bless me when the devil tried to stress me. You were good enough to make me when life tried to break me. You're God, you are good. Oh God, you are good. You're God, you're good. God, let me tell you about yourself. You're amazing in your ways. You're awesome in your works. You bring new mercy every day. You give me joy in place of hurt. You are God, sure are good. You're God, can't help but to be good. You're amazing in your way.
Awesome in your
You're
way.
awesome in your ways.
New mercies
You
every
bring
day.
new mercies every day.
Giving joy
You give me
and
joy in place
Well, good morning. Blessings and favor to each and every one of you. What another amazing day this is. I am so glad to be alive and to experience the favor of God. I want you to do me a favor and make sure you hit that share button. Make sure you tag, text, tweet, you know how I say it, inbox, yell down the hallway. Tell somebody to join you for this virtual experience. The Lord's blessings be upon you this day. I pray your day has already begun and it's already fantastic out of the gate. Make sure when you're coming in, you hit that share button, hit those thumbs and likes. We love it over here. It's everything. And I appreciate you. All you have to do is share. I'll take care of the rest. I just need you to hit that share button so that we are connecting with as many people around the country and around the world, literally, as we can. In my last session with you, we were talking about fighting the fear of abandonment. And little did I know that would set off a floodgate of responses, of comments, but even more shocking was the onslaught of questions that I began to receive. People were emailing, inboxing, going to the website. You had so very many questions. And for a lot of you, it was very revelatory. You were able to start pinpointing some of the whys in your life, some of the reactions you're having, some of the challenges that you had to face in life, and you were able to get some answers. So what I want to do today, I want to go even a little deeper. We were dealing with the fear, fighting the fear of abandonment, and I want to deal with some of the effects of these abandonment episodes that occur in our life, and perhaps one that is the most prevalent is emotional unavailability. People generally categorize people who they feel are not as emotionally connected or available as simply standoffish. But they don't understand that because of some of the abandonment issues I have gone through, then I try to do everything I can to serve my best interests. And that is to self-protect and to self-preserve, so that I am not exposing myself to potential hurt and even further damage that I'm not so sure I could recover from. So when we talk about emotional unavailability, this refers to an individual's inability to maintain emotional bonds in a relationship. You go good for a moment, and even you find yourself talking yourself into being more connected. I want to love. I want to have this. I want to be expressive. I want to give myself wholly and wholeheartedly to an individual, but these abandonment issues have created some layers and some barriers, which I have determined and defined to be protective barriers for myself. But the challenge about barriers is while they keep others out, it also keeps you in. And you create these fortresses, these places of solitude and isolation and insulation. And you look around and you have isolated yourself to the point where you can't even feel or experience all that is available for you. And so when a person is emotionally unavailable, this can manifest as distance. They're always distant. They have a hard time being close, opening up, being transparent, being vulnerable, because life and pain has taught us that vulnerability, if you're not careful, it always has the potential of being ammunition in the future. And so it manifests as distance, indifference, and a lack of commitment. You ever met somebody and they just, I have a phobia of commitment. And what they're really saying is that I'm trying to at least be courteous enough to put a label on my lack of commitment. And so I have this phobia. And emotional unavailability is characterized by a few things that you need to look out for. Because often I've seen people lose a lot of time under the premise of just saying where they're shy and it takes them a while to open up, and you don't realize that by the time you look again, it's been 6 months, a year, and it's draining you and it's robbing you of time you could be in productive, effective, loving relationships that are fulfilling. But it's difficult to do that with a person who's emotionally unavailable. They have trouble communicating, or even more predominantly, it's an inconsistent communication. They're always avoiding the deep conversations. They're avoiding, and here's one of the telltale signs. They don't put a label on anything. What are we? We're just, it is what it is. Let's not put a label on anything, because labels imply commitment. It has the connotation of obligation. And when you have been abandoned and you are dealing with the side effects of that abandonment in terms of being emotionally unavailable, because here's the reality: when you have been abandoned, the last thing you want to do, at least for a while, is feel. I don't want to feel. It ultimately becomes your preference to be numb, and consequently, you display irrational behavior. You do things that are senseless because you don't care. At least that's what you're convincing yourself. You're trying to convince yourself that you don't care. In reality, you do, but you have to camouflage your feelings, and you have to camouflage your care so that you are never hurt again at the degree that you once were. And so if you think people around you are emotionally unavailable, there's some telltale signs that if you don't diagnose them or identify them, you could lose a lot of time, and you can lose a lot of efforts. They're usually characterized. Here's what I call them. It's not a technical term, but I call them habitual ghosters. When a person is emotionally unavailable, and I know from firsthand experience what I'm talking about, because there was a time numb was my preference. If you start getting too close to me, I'm ghosting you. I got to get out of there, because now you got these feelings, and now you're attached to me. And though attachment may feel good to you, it didn't feel good to me, because attachment was the prerequisite for adverse feelings or actions that are going to be perpetrated against me. So if you start feeling too good, I used to be, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I used to tell people years and years ago, I used to tell people, don't love me, just like me. And that was my way of trying to protect you from my inevitable ghosting of you. And I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. I literally would tell, I'm feeling us getting closer. I'm just more drawn to you. Hold on, time out. Don't make any attempts at loving me. at best like me. I can deal with you liking me, but loving me, that's a trigger. And a lot of you who are watching now, people don't understand the depth of your layers. They don't understand that somebody loving you or attempting to love you was actually a trigger for you. Because to them, while love was this beautiful, blissful experience, what you received that was defined and termed as love was horrific for you. And so you have decided to be and gotten comfortable with being emotionally unavailable. Here's the reality. You can be physically available and not at all emotionally unavailable. Let me let that sink in for a moment. Yeah, you can be, I could give you all of the physicality and you never get beyond the physical realm because I'm not letting my mind even giving it the permission to process this as something that could be long term. I'm not giving my emotions the clearance to let you in any further than you are at the moment. And so you're dealing with persons who are emotionally unavailable because they're always invalidating your feelings. They are always defensive. And more importantly, you can never really pinpoint a moment where you felt like a priority. Now that you look back over it, I'm giving you a scratch your head moment right now. Because now you're looking back and say, you know what? I can't really pinpoint a moment or a sustainable moment where I felt like I was a priority, where I felt like I was the predominant thing in your life. And ladies and gentlemen, you haven't realized it yet, but could it be possible that you have attracted or have been attracting people who are emotionally unavailable, and you've been saying stuff like, yeah, I'm probably a bit much for them. I'm a lot to handle. Not realizing that they've been giving you the signs all along that they're never going to validate your feelings. They're never going to support you emotionally. And you are never going to feel like a priority. Because when an individual has issues, again, that stem from being abandoned, we don't let you in easily. And it's difficult for us to feel anything. It's like you develop this numbness to feeling. And so you have to understand that a lot of emotional unavailability stems from fear. Sometimes you are just afraid of sharing or giving parts of you that have been concealed for so long, that have been misunderstood for so long to people that you cannot really verify if they're going to be a permanent fixture in your life. You got to be careful because people who are emotionally unavailable, they are easily withdrawn. You probably remember this, and maybe you've heard of it, but you just never done it yourself. Have you ever started an argument to get out? These are one of the signs of people who are emotionally unavailable. They just, why the remote got 2 batteries in it? Well, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm gone. I'm out. Look for any excuse to make an exit. It's because you start feeling the pressure to obligate, or the pressure, watch this, to be reciprocal in terms of emotional feelings, emotional investment. That this is the challenge, that when you deal with people who are emotional and about, this is why I keep telling you, you got to get beyond the surface. I know they fine. I know they look good. I know they got money. I know they got it going on. But you could have all of these things and still be bankrupt internally and emotionally. And there's nothing that will jeopardize your peace or your happiness than connecting and being in covenant with people who are emotionally bankrupt and emotionally unavailable for you. And so emotional unavailability often stems from fear. This is for several reasons, and this is so poignant for you to understand. And that is that they fear rejection or ridicule. Now, probably every one of you who I'm talking to has been in a space or a head place where you were literally afraid to get rejected. Think about it. Who likes to get rejected? Rejection can have it can have a significant debilitating impact mentally, spiritually, physically. It can blow you out of the water to get rejected. And so you become, usually people who are emotionally unavailable, they walk around with this constant fear of rejection or ridicule, or because of prior hurts in previous relationships. They were hurt, they were unheard, they were unseen, they were unimportant. And so you generally tend to keep people at arm's length. Okay, that's enough. Don't get too close. And so generally what happens, we create these barriers, these lines of defense, so that, again, when I feel you getting too close or closer than I'm willing to let you get, again, because I don't want you to love me. I just want you to like me. Now you're trying to love me, so I gotta put up this wall and keep you at distance. It can also stem from, hear this clearly, and I really, really wish I had time to unpack this. It can stem from insecurity. Insecure people tend to put up walls that prevent people from getting close to them or sabotaging relationships to avoid emotional closeness. You just sabotage it. You intentionally wreck the connection. You tear down what is being built or potentially can be built simply because of your reflex. I call it emotional reflexes, because of your emotional reflexes from your past hurt or your past injury. And so we put up walls, and these insecurities can stem from a lot of different things. Here's one that is probably in the high 80 percentile of this, and that is from past trauma, particularly traumatic childhood experiences or traumas from past relationships. They can prevent people from being emotionally available. If your mother didn't embrace you, if she didn't nurture you, if she didn't hug you, if she didn't grab your face and kiss you on the top of your head and say, "Oh, that's my baby," then there's some voids that are in your life that fester for years that you don't even realize until the person who is expecting it from you starts pointing out, "Hey, you don't hug, you don't kiss me, you don't touch me, you don't have conversation, you don't open up." And then you start realizing that what it really is an emotional reflex. By instinct, I know how to push you away. And consequently, when you have relationships not that have not been fully developed or nurtured from your childhood, your mother, your father, even interpersonal relationships with your siblings, then you tend to be sort of standoffish, and you grow up and you have issues socially. And you feel very uncomfortable in the public. You just want to get out of there. I don't like you hear, I don't like a lot of people, or I don't like being around a lot of people. And really, it's not that you don't like seeing the people. What you fear more is that people see you and see your vulnerability and see your hurt and see the things that you are trying to disguise. And so rather than go through that traumatic ordeal repeatedly, you just operate from a posture of being emotionally unavailable. Because when you're emotionally unavailable, here's what it is at the core. You have self-committed to not get committed. You signed the covenant with yourself and say, I'm not going to commit again. I'm not going to be available to people again. And so what happens is you spend a great deal of your life. And I used to just say women, be careful for this, but men, you got to watch it too, because there are some individuals who have decided that because of my past trauma and because of my emotional reflexes, I am just going to keep things casual and undefined, so I do not have to deal with any emotional components that go along with long-term kind of committed relationships. So you got to be careful for these signs. One of the things that you also have to watch out for, again, that plays back to being abandoned, is that neglect. Neglect has a tremendous effect on us emotionally, and it impairs our ability to be available for people. But watch this, it impairs my ability to be there for me as well. Because when you have been neglected, again, in environments where you should have been receiving nurturing, it teaches you that your needs don't matter and your wants should be simply shelved. You don't need anything. It doesn't matter what you want. And so consequently, you simply relinquish your wants and your wishes, and you submit to the wants and the wishes of everybody else. And while other people are fulfilled, you're living an unfulfilled life, because it's one thing for people to be emotionally unavailable to you, but it's another thing entirely when you are emotionally unavailable to yourself. How do I do that? You say things like this: stop crying, don't cry. I'm not going to cry about this, when in all actuality, crying is what you perhaps may need to do to cleanse your spirit, to release things that have been harbored in you emotionally from you. Don't cry. Look at you. Don't cry. Don't break. No. Sometimes you need a good cry to cleanse your soul and cleanse your spirit. And sometimes that cry will give you a better perspective so that you can realign your life and get back to the business of living fruitfully, futuristically, and fulfilling. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when you experience abandonment, it makes you apprehensive about attachments. So we tend to avoid them at all costs. I run by myself, I'm my own best friend. And I understand that, but really at the core of it, it's me protecting me. I don't want another friend, because friends come with the potential to hurt you and let you down and betray you and to walk out on you. And so why take me through that again when I can be my own best friend and I can look out for me? And so you have to make sure that even though people have abandoned you, that you don't abandon you. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. You have to make sure that their neglect of you does not translate into you neglecting yourself. For another day of your life, you have to decide that I am going to tap into who I am, my own wants, my own needs. Because what a tragic thing it is. And please hear this. And I don't know how straightforward I could be with you. I'm trying to. Please hear me. Don't spend all of your life giving everybody what they want and you never give you what you want. I'm going to say it again. Don't spend the entirety of your life giving everybody what they want and never giving you what you want. You're always the giver, always the supporter, always making sure everybody's fine, always hugging, always kissing. And yet nobody hugs you. Nobody embraces you. Nobody tells you great job. Nobody's saying keep pushing, keep going. Nobody's patting you on your back. You often find yourself patting yourself on the back because the one thing I refuse to do is to allow your neglect of me, hear this, to negate my greatness. Because being neglected can make you feel unworthy. And you walk around questioning, am I good enough? Why don't they want me? Why wasn't mother there? Why didn't father see me as worthy enough of their love, of their time, of their affection, of their attention? And so if not, you're going to spend great portions of your life with this emotional void. And even more detrimental is not you dealing with emotionally unavailable people. But here's the issue. What happens when you're the one that's emotionally unavailable? What happens when you're the one that's emotionally unavailable? Because your mantra has been, I don't have to feel. If I don't have to feel, then that means I don't have to feel pain. And if I don't feel too close to you, then I'm not particularly vulnerable to having my feelings hurt by you. And the problem with that is you live your life so defensively and so locked in that you never make room for what God is sending. Let me just drop this on you. Let me see how you react to this. God has some surrogates that he will station in your life to make up to you for everything you felt like you went without. Oh, you better hear what I'm saying. God has some surrogates stationed in your life. Somebody can testify now. Daddy wasn't there, but God sent a strong male figure, a mentor, somebody who treated me like I was their own. I didn't have this. No matter what it felt like life tried to slight you of, your God is never going to let you go without. And on this day, God is getting ready to do something in your emotion. I'm praying now that your strength, your emotional stability is grounded again. I'm praying that you're not going to be all over the place. You're not going to allow past traumas, past hurt, people treating you differently and indifferent most of your life warp your view of who you are. You are worthy of love. You are amazing. You are incredible. You've got more to give. I know life thought it took it all out of you, but that devil is a lie. You got some more to give. And so you have to decide, not only am I going to be able to identify and detect emotionally unavailable people, but I've got to be able to detect those aspects of emotional availability in me. Watch this, because if you're not careful, you can repeat cycles subconsciously. Because mama wasn't there for you, then now you're not there for your daughter. And you don't even realize it because you learned what you saw. And if what you saw was dysfunctional, then you transfer dysfunction and you keep passing down dysfunction on people. Have you ever said to yourself, Man, when I grow up, I'm not gonna do my kids like they did me. And then you find yourself doing the exact same things that you said you wouldn't do. Okay, I'll wait. I'll see how honest you're gonna be. Have you ever sat there and said, "Oh my God, I'm doing the same stuff. Mama made me feel this way. Daddy made me, grandma, they've made me feel this way. And now I'm making somebody else feel that way because my neglect and abandonment. And now I'm projecting it. And it's psychologically what's happening that you don't realize is internally you say, well, I survived without them. Well, that's warped psychology. That's a warped emotional pathology. That's telling you that just because it happened to you, then the next person deserves it. You didn't deserve it. Hear me very carefully. You did not deserve to be reared or raised with emotionally unavailable people. But hear me, you have the responsibility to make sure nobody is negatively affected emotionally by your hands now. And so I know you feel this discomfort with vulnerability, and it's leading you to distance yourself, and your children try to talk to you and you tell them, go play, go in the other room. I want to be alone. I want to be by myself. And though those dynamics are necessary for all of us, you have to know when those proper times are. I can't say I need time to myself. Well, you got 3-4 kids. Ain't a lot of time to yourself at this juncture, right? So you have to learn how to prioritize those moments without making them feel invalidated and making them feel like they are not important. Again, you're hearing the same cycle. So you have to reverse that cycle, not push them away, but pull them to you with an embrace and a loving embrace, because subconsciously you don't even realize. And here's the biggest part. While you're ignoring other people's red flags, you're ignoring your own red flags. I'm being too abrasive. I'm talking too reckless to this person. I'm not exhibiting any empathy. I'm not exercising any compassion. And so while you're so busy pointing the finger at those who are emotionally unavailable toward you, could it be possible that you have now transformed into the one who is emotionally unavailable? What does that mean? In essence, it means when you find that you are always evasive and inconsistent, you never have time for the hard conversations. It's always a bother for you to have any intimate interaction in terms of conversation, in terms of the expressing of feelings, in terms of giving somebody the space and the floor and the opportunity to reveal who they really are, so that you have a better insight and a better grasp as how to handle them, how to treat them. But as long as you operate from a posture of being emotionally unavailable, you're going to always ignore your own red flags. And you won't know when to pull your own collar. Every night you got to pull yourself and say, hey, who are you sounding like now? Every now and then you gotta rely on your memory and say, you remember how they made you feel when they did this to you. Why would you even be remotely considering exhibiting the same kind of destructive, dysfunctional, defective behavior towards somebody else? Because when you've been abandoned and you have these emotionally unavailable posture, is because his reality that you have to realize and accept and seek help for, seek counsel through, and that is emotionally unavailable people are incapable of long-term relational investment. Now that's powerful because it's not that I haven't evolved since the traumatic moments that have stifled my ability, that have skewed and jaded my perception about getting close to anybody. You could have grown past that a little bit, but the reality of the matter is you got to admit I'm incapable, because if you don't admit you're incapable, you're going to waste a lot of people's time. Oh, if you don't come to the point where you can take a realistic assessment of yourself and yeah, I prayed. Yeah, I went in a prayer line. And yes, they counseled me in the back a little bit, but until you can identify the fact that you are incapable of relational investment and seek the help, initiate seeking the help, the counsel, the therapy that is necessary to get you back aligned, because it's difficult to help or deal or understand or comprehend anybody else's feelings when you don't even have a grasp on yours. You still have things that are unprocessed from 20 years ago. And you don't want to be guilty of toxic transfer. I just wish I had more time. You don't want to be guilty of toxic transfer. And I'm afraid a lot of us have not only been victims of toxic transfer, but we've been perpetrators of toxic transfer, because we have not taken the necessary time to, number one, identify it in ourselves, but initiate getting the help so that we can dismantle all of the negative emotional dysfunction that we have adopted and that has been imposed upon us over the course of our lives. And if not, we'll stay in this place of emotionally being unavailable. Again, this can happen as a result of things ranging from childhood experiences to the trauma. It could be more subtle issues that create difficulty in trusting and attaching. Because, and again, I want to reiterate, a lot of your emotional unavailability, if you can pinpoint it, if you can look at it on a monitor, if you could look at it on the radar, you can trace it back to unresolved issues from past relationships or some traumatic loss that has occurred in your life. When people are emotionally unavailable, here's and I know a lot about this right here. You have difficulty integrating people into your life, right? You adapt and you usually acquiesce to this Lone Ranger kind of mentality. I don't need anybody. Well, you only say that because you didn't have anybody. And because you didn't have anybody, psychologically, the way you're wired, you think, since I didn't have anybody, I don't need anybody. But it's not until you look back in retrospection and start to realize who you didn't have, you didn't necessarily need. I told you in our last session that you don't have to be absent to be abandoned. People can be present, sitting across the table from you every morning, and emotionally they've abandoned you. They don't give any validity to your worth. They don't listen to you. They don't actively participate in the building of who you are and understanding all the dynamics of who you are as well. So you have to, until you got to figure out, how do I integrate people in my life? I dealt with that. And consequently, I mean, I don't have a big circle now. I mean, my circle is 1, 2, 3 people. And it took me a while to integrate them into my life to the point where I could trust their intentions, because you won't integrate until you are clear on their intentions. All right. I've got people in my life now who, if I mess up, it's not a celebratory thing for them. It's a, psst, come here. Let me help you correct this. Let's do this because I want you looking good. I want the best for you. You got to have people around your life who are there, who've been ordained in your life by God to be there. This is why you got to consistently audit your circle. And based on people's intentions, that becomes the precursor or the prerequisite for me to now integrate you into my life. Because there are some people in my life right now that I told things about that I didn't tell people about who had been around me for 30 years or so. Or I didn't talk about certain events that had occurred over stretches of my life, over long parts of my life. But I knew my emotional state was safe. I knew that whatever I told them, watch this, it was safe. And I knew telling it to them wouldn't make them judge me or look at me any differently. Here's how you know these are the people you can be emotionally available with, because, and it's going to blow your mind, 90% of the stuff you've dealt with or have occurred in your life has happened in their lives. They have a point of reference for it. They quickly say, oh, don't destroy yourself mentally toiling over it. I know I did this, but here's what happened. Here's how I process this. Here's how you get through this. God will station people in your life to make sure your sanity stays intact. And I know we're living in a generation now, everybody wants the material, the cars, the cash, the clothes, and all that. And all that's wonderful in its place. But you got to have somebody in your life that knows how to, watch this, interrupt your meltdowns in progress. You got to have somebody call you and say, man, listen, relax yourself. Now that sounds like R.C. Blake's and Samuel Blake's written. Man, relax yourself. Something about, and those are the people you know that are people in your life because their words have so much credence and validity. If they tell you relax yourself, you ever had people to tell you and say relax, and you just instantly, okay, because I understand that these are my people. These are my assigned people. This is my tribe. They're going to protect you. They're going to cover you. They're going to nurture you. They'll nurse you back to health and cause you to realize that you still got more life left to live over this life-altering moment. Because that's what it is. And I feel like I'm talking to somebody now who felt like this one moment was wrecking the potential of you having any kind of life that is fruitful or fulfilling or future forward. I want to tell you on this moment, though it might be life altering, it is not life ending. Oh, I hope you hear what I'm saying to you today. Though it might be life altering, it is not life ending for you. There is more life left to live. Man, I wish I had more time to spend with you. I'm going to close with that. But I want to pray today for people who are watching, that will watch over and over and over and over again, because you've been abandoned and you've been struggling with abandonment issues for a long time. And even though you try to camouflage it internally, you feel uneasy around people because you're so afraid of being vulnerable. You're so afraid of people seeing who you are that their instinct is to push you away and disconnect almost instantly. And you're so afraid of being abandoned and hurt again. If you're not careful, you start living in a place of compromise so long that you'll do whatever you have to do just not to be thrown away or pushed away again. But I'm praying for every individual who's heard this word today, who's listened intently, who's grabbed hold to it and determined that I've got to do something internally to break this cycle. So I'm going to pray, Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for every person that's watching me, that will watch me, several times until this gets in their spirit to the point that it requires them to initiate some action, to take very proactive, aggressive steps to make sure that they deal properly and in context with their emotional unavailability. And I thank you now, God, because you are the God, you are healer, you are God of transformation. You are God that is the restorer of hearts and the restorer of minds and spirits. So I pray for every person that is watching me now, that you deal with every emotional impairment, everything that is prohibiting them from being as connected as they could be, the people you have ordained for their lives. And I bless them in your name, we pray. Amen and amen. Well, this has been an amazing day. As we prepare to give corporately today, I want you to prepare your seed offering today as we are preparing to honor the Lord in our giving this day. I want you to allow the Holy Spirit to speak to your heart relative to your giving, what your seed deposit should be on this day. You know the rules of giving in our ministry. If you are willing and able, let every man give as God has prospered him to do so, not grudgingly, not forcefully, not out of force, but because you just love God and you love the work of his ministry. Again, all the giving means are right there on the screen for you. I want you to find the one that's the most convenient, and I want you to give. Well, we're getting ready to go. Don't forget, the weekend is almost here. So find you a new home to go to on this Sunday. That's what I'm going to tell you. Find a new home to go to this Sunday. Join us in East New Orleans at 9 a.m., 13800 Hain Boulevard. Join us uptown New Orleans at the Mother Church, 1616 Robert C. Blake Sr. Drive for 10:30. Also, don't forget our Hammond location at 10:30. Our Houston H-Town, where it goes down, at 11 a.m. Our Jackson, Mississippi location at 1 p.m. And all of that information is anywhere New Home social media is displayed. You can get all the information you need to go to whatever location you would love to go to on that day. All right. Don't forget, God said is yours. Go get it. Go get it, because God says it is absolutely, positively yours. I'll see you next time.